Let me introduce tonight's shir. I call it the faith of Avraham. Avraham is the knight of faith. We know that Avraham Avinu lived at a time when idol worship was rampant. Avodah Zarah was the call of the day. Oh, the cousins here. And he fought a battle against Avodah Zarah. He's the father of the Jewish nation. He's born in Ur Kasdim. He lives amongst idolaters, but yet he recognizes the Creator and declares Him the one God. We know that all of this goes on in his youth. We're not exactly sure, and we'll get into this, how old he is when he recognizes God. But there's a process, and Chazal described that process. It's a process of revelation in which Avraham Avinu comes to believe in the true faith, in which he recognizes the existence of God. This process reaches perhaps its apex when Avraham Avinu destroys the idols of those who worship them and argues with them, disputes their ideology, until, according to many, he convinces the multitudes, has an impact on tens of thousands of individuals, ha-nefesh asher osu b'choron, so that they desist from idol worship, and they become dedicated to the belief in God and the service of God. How did Avraham Avinu come to recognize God? On what basis? Was it a philosophical endeavor? Did he have an Aristotelian mind? Was it intuitive? Was it based on some sort of revelation in which Almighty God revealed Himself to Avraham? What were the arguments that Avraham put forth against the idol worshippers? Halachically, it's an interesting question within moral law. Was Avraham Avinu permitted to destroy the idols of others? Can I come and take your idols that are worth something on the market and destroy them? Another question, what happened to Noach? What happened to Shem and Ava? Contemporaries of Avraham Avinu, who like Avraham recognized the one true God. How did they come to believe in God? Did they have any impact on those who lived in their generation? Did they dispute other idolaters as Avraham did? And if they didn't, why not? And finally, was there conversion before Matan Torah? When we speak about the nefesh asher osu b'choron, the impact and the effect that Avraham Avinu had on these tens of thousands of individuals, did they in some sense become gerim? Tachas kanfei ashchina? Was there gerus halachically before Matan Torah? These are some of the questions I want to address tonight. It'll probably take us more than one night to deal with them. But I put together some source material here on the page. And just by way of introduction, let me say this. The Rambam is going to be our main text because more than any other source that I found, the Rambam dedicates himself to the intricacies, the details of A, how Avraham came to believe in one God, how he discovered that true faith, and B, what was Avraham's step-by-step process in having an impact on the multitudes. But at the same time, the Rambam doesn't work without sources. He doesn't work in a vacuum. What were perhaps some of the Midrashim that quote statements in the name of Chazal and form the basis for the Rambam's conclusion, for the Rambam's presentation regarding the emunah, the faith of Avraham. So let's begin the process by asking the question, How did Avraham Avinu come to recognize one God? The Rambam says the following. This is the Rambam at the beginning of Hilchos Avodas Kochavim, Perek Aleph, Halacha Gimel. Kevan shenigmal eitan zeh. Once this powerful individual, the eitan, that's the description that the adjective that the Rambam uses to describe Avram. Nigmal. What does nigmal mean? He was weaned from his mother's milk. We're talking about a youngster. Hiskil l'shoteit b'dato. The word das indicates what faculty? The intellectual faculty. Hiskil l'shoteit b'dato v'hu kato. He's beginning to analyze things, and yet he's a child. Hiskil lachshov bayom u'balayla. He starts thinking both day and night. V'hoya tamea. And he was wondering, he was amazed. Heich efshar, is it possible? Sheyiyah hagalgal hazeh, that this sphere, meaning the earth, noheg tomid, it is controlled by some sort of natural order on a regular basis. V'lo yeh blo manhig, can this effect or this chain of effects be a result without some sort of control or some sort of power that causes it? Umi yisovev osa. Ki I efshar she yisovev es atzmo. It cannot be, thought Avraham Avinu, an effect without a cause. So in effect, the way the Rambam presents Avraham Avinu, we have a couple of preliminary answers to our questions. Avraham Avinu, at least at the start, is a child. Number two, Avraham Avinu is asking philosophical questions. The cause and effect, causality. It is impossible for something to be influenced without a cause. And number three, who taught Avraham? The Rambam goes out of his way to add a few words. V'lo hoyalo melamed v'lo modia davar. Avraham Avinu had no teacher. He had no one to notify him, to reveal any secrets. But rather, elamushka be'urkazdin bein ovdei kochavim hatipshim. He was involved in a society, he lived in a society, he was surrounded by individuals who, in Ur-Kazdin, were idol worshippers. And the Rambam adds an adjective, tipshim. They didn't have the intellectual prowess of Avraham Avinu. They were on a low-key, dull kind of intellectual level. And not only that, the Aviv v'Imo, his own father and mother didn't give him any tradition that would allow him to break away from idol worship and their philosophies. V'chol ha'am, and the entire nation, ovdei kochavim, they worship the stars. And now the Rambam adds three words, v'hu oved imahem. Even, the Rambam adds that even Avraham Avinu was an idol worshipper initially. But yet, v'libo meshotet, his heart, his intuition, sort of reached out, umevin, and understood that something was wrong. This was not the way to go. Hisig derech ha'emes, until finally, at the end of this process, Avraham Avinu perceived the truth. Vehaven, and he comprehended kav hatzedek, the just path. Mitfunaso hanachona, from his own wisdom. It's coming from within. Avraham Avinu is working independently against the forces of society, the impact of society, in which he was very much a part of, his parents were a part of it. But he came to break away from those traditions, from those beliefs. Until finally, v'yada, he understood. Sheyesham Eloka Echad, there is one divine being. V'hu manhig, and he is in control. He is the ultimate power, the ultimate cause, Hagalgal, of the earth. Hu bara hakol, is the creator of all. V'ein b'chol hanimtza eloka chutz mimenu. And there's nothing in existence, Eloha, another God, besides him, there's only one God, the creator of all. V'yad and Avraham Avinu understood. Shekol ha'olam toim. The entire world is off track, off base. This has tremendous implications for us, understanding that no matter how many millions of people believe something, it doesn't make it true. V'davar shegaram lehem litos. And now the Rambam goes into a long discussion about how did avodah zarah, how did idol worship evolve? And the Rambam finally says, Ben arboim shana hikir Avram es boro. The process began when he was but a child, weaned from his mother's milk. But when did the process reach its apex, its fruition? When did Avraham Avinu finally come to a settled down with a secure understanding, a complete acceptance of the Creator as God? At the age of 40. And Kevon Shehikir, once he reached that Hakara, that knowledge, that recognition, the Yada, he understood. Histil lahashiv tshuvos al b'nei ur kazdim. He started entering into debates, counter-argument against the philosophies of the idol worshippers. V'laroch dini mohem. The Rambam is implying that there was some sort of public debates that he entered into. V'lomar, and he declared in front of the multitude, she'ein zu derech emes. Avraham Avinu is now a public figure who's defying the underlying beliefs, the philosophies of those who lived in Ur Kasdim. Shatem holchim ba, the path that you're going on is not the true one. And then Avram takes the initiative, v'shiber hakslamim, he destroys the idols, v'hisfil lahodia la'am she'en ro'ui lavod ela laloka ha'olam. It's not appropriate, it's not fitting to serve any other being or any force or any energy or any power other than God, who is the God of the universe. V'lo, and only to him, with a capital H, ro'ui, is it appropriate l'shtachavos, to bow down, ulahakriv, and to bring sacrifices, ulanaseach, and pour the libations. And the Rambam indicates the power of Avram's arguments and the achievement of Avram, Kadeshi Akiru Kol Habruim Habayim. Avram Avinu fought this battle. He initiated this revolution in order that the creatures that would come, meaning the people that would come to live, would recognize the one God, V'royu la'abed u'l'shaber kol hatzuros, and that people would recognize the need to destroy all the idols, Kadesh lo yitu behen, so that others would not come to mistaken beliefs and philosophies and worship them. Kol ha'am kamo elu, others in the future like these of Ur Kasdim, she'medamim she'ein sham Eloha ela elu, who eventually came to believe that there's no other God except for these wooden stones and wooden, I shouldn't say stones, but wooden idols. But as a result, Avraham Avinu endangered his life. His path was not politically correct, you would say in our terms. When his counter-arguments against their beliefs became so powerful, Bikesh HaMelech Lahargo, the king sought his death. V'nasal ones, but God did a miracle. V'yatzal l'charan, and Avraham Avinu was able to escape to Charan, and once again engage the people in a process of teaching. Histil lamod v'likro b'kol gadol l'chol ha'olam v'odiam sheyesham eloka echad l'chol ha'olam v'lo ro'i la'avod. And it's appropriate to serve him. There's one God, he should be served. We should pray to him, we should bring sacrifices to him, and we should bow down to him alone. This great project that Avraham Avinu undertook to travel from place to place, to gather the people in cities, in provinces, until he finally reaches his destination place. And there in Eretz Canaan, who Koreh, he calls out, Shenemar vayikra sham b'shem Hashem kel olam. And this was the epitome of Avraham's his achievement in life. V'kevan shayu ha'am iskatzmei lo v'shomel al dvarav ha'imodil chol echav echad kfi daito ad sheyachzeru l'derech ha'emes ad sheniskabtzu elav alafim v'rivavos. Thousands and tens of thousands, vein anshe beis Avraham v'shasal b'libam ha'ikar ha'gadol hazeh, and he was able to implant in their hearts this great belief in one God who should be served. What's the source for the Rambam?
So, the entire thing is based on cause and effect, this whole piece? Everything stems from...
We'll get into that time. Let's wait a few minutes, because I want to take this Rambam dissected after we see the sources of the Rambam. So we'll get back to your question. I will not neglect your question. The source for the Rambam would seem to be a Midrash Rabbah at the beginning of Parshas Lech Lecha. This Midrash Rabbah is quoted by the commentaries on the Rambam as the source for the Rambam. The primary commentary that I'm relying on is the Avodas HaMelech. His name is Rav Nachum Krakovsky. He was my Rebbe Rav Soloveitchik's uncle. He was a great scholar in the Rambam. The tragedy is that we only have 1/14 of his writings. The other 13 went up in the smokes of Auschwitz. And if you want to read something on Tisha B'Av to give you the sense of what the Nazi Holocaust did, you'll read the one section of his work that was sent from Vilna to the publisher before the Nazis destroyed Lithuanian Jewry, and that's the first chelik of the Rambam, of the Avodas HaMelech on the Rambam Sefer Mada. It's an incredible work. In any event, on this Rambam here at the beginning of Hilchas Akum, the Avodas HaMelech quotes a Midrash in Parshas Lech Lecha. The Midrash dramatizes a pasuk in Tehillim, Shimi bas ure'i v'atiyaz nech, shechechi amech ubeis avich. On Rabbi Yitzchak, this pasuk refers to Avraham Avinu, who forgets his nation and his fatherhood, his father. Mashal li echad she'over mimakom lemakom. The situation of Avraham Avinu can be described by the following metaphor. An individual who travels from place to place, v'ra'a bira achas dolekes, he observes a great castle, a great beautiful structure that's burning. The fire is burning. Amar, he declares, Tomar shahabira zu below manhig? Would you logically claim that this beautiful structure has no creator? No manhig literally means no controller. Could it be? It's such a sophisticated, complex structure. Certainly the work of a great architect. Is anyone logically going to claim that there's no manhig, there's no one who put this all together? As a result, Hitzitz Olav Bal Habira, the owner or the creator of this bira, of this beautiful structure, Hitzitz Olav, he peeks out from behind. Amarlo, he identifies himself. Anihu Bal Habira, I am the creator of this great, beautiful, sophisticated structure. And the Midrash says in the Nimshal, Rabbi Yitzchak says, Kach, Lefishai Avraham Avinu Omer, he declared, Tomar Sha'olam Hazeh B'lo Manhig? Could it be that this beautiful, complex, structured, ordered, natural universe exists without a creator, without someone who controls it? It's all of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So God, so to speak, peeks out from behind the universe. The Amarlo, He reveals himself to Avraham and he declares, Anihu Bal Ha'olam. I am the creator of this world. Now, notice that if we assume, as the Avodas HaMelech would have it, that this Midrash is the source for the Rambam, then let's get back to our original question. Did Avraham Avinu come to his belief on his own, with his own thought process, his analysis, or was there a revelation? According to the Rambam, we bolded it, Lo haya lo melamed v'lo modia davar. According to the Rambam, there's no question that Avraham Avinu was working independently, without any source of revelation. But when you read this Midrash, which the Avodas HaMelech claims to be the source of the Rambam, what impression, what conclusion do you come to?
Hashem revealed himself.
Hashem revealed himself. What's the language, Josh, of the Midrash? The key words?
Anihu Bal Ha'olam.
Let's start even earlier. Hitzitz all of HaKadosh Baruch. Yeah, Avraham Avinu was wondering, he was thinking, could it be? This is called the argument from design. There are many different arguments in the history of philosophy for the belief in Almighty God. And one of the famous arguments, which is called the cosmological proof for the existence of God, is look at the cosmos, see its order, its structure, its beauty, its complexity. Some of the modern philosophers give the example of Shakespeare. They say, could you imagine placing a monkey on a typewriter and having him type out the works of Shakespeare? When you look at the complex structure of the universe, I mean, even if you take the human eye, for example, Rabbi Victor Miller, Zichron Levracha, in one of his works, Rejoice, O Youth, has a 3-page description of the eye and how it functions. What are the chances that this could have come about without a cause, without a great power that brought it into existence? So it's true, according to the Midrash, that Avraham Avinu was looking at this great bira, this world, this universe that's so complex, and he was asking, how did it happen? How did it come to being? Could it be that there's no manhig? But at the end of the day, according to the Midrash, the clincher was Hitzitz Olav Bala Bira. There was a process of revelation. Almighty God peeks behind. So I would wonder, I would give it a second thought as to whether or not the Avodas HaMelech should be accepted, and indeed, this Midrash in Lech Lecha is the source for the Rambam. But I do want to say the following. I don't believe that there's a contradiction between this Midrash and the Rambam. I'm not sure if this is the proof text for the Rambam. I don't know if this is the Makar, the source for the Rambam. But I don't believe that there's a contradiction between the Rambam and the Midrash. Even though the Midrash claims Hitzitz Olav Bala Bira, and the Rambam says Lo Hayalo Melamed V'lo Modia, there's no contradiction. And here I want to base myself on one of the commentaries on the Midrash. It's called the Pirush Marizu. It was written by a German Jew some 150, 200 years ago. His name was Einhorn. It's a beautiful commentary on the Midrash. I apologize, I don't have a Midrash. I just didn't bring my Midrash from Yerushalayim, so I don't have one. But if you take a look in the Pirush Marizu, he discusses this concept of Bira Dolekes. You remember, if you will, that the Midrash starts with a structure that's on fire. And he asks the question, what's the nimshal of the fire that's burning this Bira? And he claims the following. He claims that the burning structure is symbolic of the free reign that's given in this world, Kaviyachol, to the Rishon, to the evildoers. We've had the Dor HaMabul, and we had the Dor HaFloga, and we're going to have Sdom at the time of Avraham Avinu. These individuals who are not righteous at all, that's an understatement, and they are wreaking havoc in the world, and yet everything is calm. Al Meimenuchot, they continue, and they They don't seem to go punished. Again, later on we'll have the Parsha of stone. So that Avraham Avinu, according to the Pirush of the Marizu, was perplexed. On the one hand, there was a manhig. He was absolutely convinced that there was a creator, there was a divine being, there was a power, there was a cause of all causes. He was responsible for the emergence, the production of this beautiful, complex structure. But on the other hand, Avraham Avinu was perplexed. There was something very confusing about this world. Given that there's a manhig, what's happening? Did he forsake this universe? Did he leave it to its own? Is it hefker? You know, there are many people who believe in God, but they deny God's providence and his involvement in this world. Yeah, God created the world, but then he removed himself to the upper spheres. He's no longer involved. And this was a very difficult question that Avraham Avinu was facing. Here's where the revelation of God clinches it. He sits all of Balabira. Hashem had to peek out from behind this burning structure and comfort Avraham and calm him down. I am here, the Almighty said. You may not understand my ways. You may not be able to scrutinize and reveal why I am allowing the evildoers free reign. Why there's evil in the world. What we call Sadik Viralo Virasha V'Tovlo. But know that I am there and I am your God. So in effect, although I'm not sure that this Midrash is a proof text for the Rambam, I don't think that the Hitzitz Olav Balad Bira is necessarily a contradiction to the Rambam. On a philosophical basis, we can accept the Rambam even in the light of this Midrash. Avraham Avinu came to believe in one God on his own. He was operating totally independently. The Hitzitz Olav Balad Bira of the Midrash of Rabbi Yitzchak is a different thing. It's to try to console Avraham Avinu, to reconcile the contradiction between God as creator and the situation of the world, which looks on the surface of it as if God, Chas v'Shalom, had forsaken the universe. That's the Hitzitz Olav Balabir, I think, according to Pirush Marizu. Again, he doesn't mention the Rambam, but I think that's what he has in mind. Then the Avodas HaMelech, Rav Nachum Kurkovsky, goes on to suggest a different source for the Rambam. Very often the Avodas HaMelech will give you a number of sources because he thinks that the Rambam, who is the great Machaber, took from different sources and integrated them together to form a whole, to form a picture. In this case, the Avodas HaMelech quotes a Midrash in Chayesar. Amar Reb Shimon, Av lo limdo, he had no father to teach him. The Midrash, by the way, is on the pasuk in Chayesara. It says over there, Ki yedativ leman asher yitzaveh es banav ve'es beiso acharov. God says, I have chosen him, meaning Avraham, because he will leave a legacy behind of righteousness and an understanding of what is true, of worshiping the true one God. He had no father to teach him. He had no Rebbe to instruct him. Then how did Avraham Avinu discover wisdom? Did he discover the divine Torah? And here's a fascinating statement in the Chazal. El shezimein lo HaKadosh Baruch Hu shtei kil Yosef kimin shnei rabbanim. Does anybody here know what the word kil Yosef means? I'll give you a hint. It's part of the human body. It comes in a pair. Kidneys. Klayot are kidneys. Kimin shnei rabbanim. And his kidneys, very strange statement in Chazal, served as two rabbis, as two teachers. Vayu novos umalabdos oso Torah v'chochma. Well, what would you say if you read this Avodas HaMelech who claims that this is the source of the Rambam. On the one hand, the opening line of Reb Shimon very much reminds us of the Rambam. Because, let's go back to the Rambam. The Rambam says, Lo haya lo molamed v'lo modia davar. The Rambam emphasizes that Avraham Avinu lives amongst idol worshippers. His father and mother worship idols. There's no one who's free of this disease of belief in the philosophy of idol worship, of idolatry. And therefore, Omar Rab Shimon Avlo Limdo V'Ravlo Hoyel. However, it's a little bit difficult to believe that this Midrash is the source for the Rambam. Because what question was the Rambam addressing? What is Avraham looking for according to the Rambam? Belief in God, correct? That's not what the Midrash is talking about. What's this Midrash talking about? What are the kidneys functioning?
Teachers.
Teachers of what? Of belief in God, of the one God? Are they teaching them, philosophy?
Torah.
Torah, it says. They're teaching Avraham Torah.
Where's the separation?
Where is?
Where's the separation between learning Torah and belief in God?
Well, again, the Rambam might supply the missing piece to this puzzle, but it's not in the Midrash. Meaning, before you get to this Midrash, you have to ask yourself, well, if there's a Torah, there must be a God. How did Avraham even know there was a God? That question is addressed by the Rambam. The Midrash is addressing another question. Chazal say that Avraham Avinu observed the entire Torah before it was given, even Erev Tavshilin. So, how did Avraham Avinu know Torah? Zimei lo HaKadosh Baruch Hu stayed Kil Yosef Kishnei Rabbanim. But it's not the same question that the Rambam is grappling with. So once again, there's no contradiction between the Rambam and the Midrash. But I would be very hard-pressed to say that the Rambam's entire presentation of how Avraham came to believe, and he went through the causality, as Chaim was pointing out before, this whole philosophical argument of cause and effect. What's the cause of all causes? The power of all powers. That's not what the Midrash is talking about. The Midrash is talking about Torah. But before we leave this Midrash, I would like to raise the following question. Why kill Yosef? Well, you don't have to be a great biologist to know what the kidneys are meant to function on. What do the kidneys do for the body?
Purify the blood.
Correct. They get rid of impurities. That's why never people without kidneys, they don't have much of a chance of survival. I mean, there's dialysis, but it's a long... I mean, you can live on one kidney, that's no problem. I mean, it's challenging because if that kidney becomes ill, you're in trouble. But the kidneys purify the impurities. Now, why does the Midrash use that metaphor for the Rabbanim teaching him Torah?
Because he had to sort through.
Sort through what?
He was only 40. He was 40.
What were you about to say?
It's the first step.
No, what's this concept of impurities?
Well, initially, for 40 years, he wasn't learning Torah. He wasn't understanding belief.
Discernment. Kidneys are
Correct.
discernment.
But when you say they're impurities, what you're saying is that there's a thrust, there's a wave of something coming, and amongst this whole system, there are certain things that you want to accept. You want to go through a siphoning process, and you want to leave out certain other things. But before we get to the impurities, what's the source for Avraham Avinu's knowledge of Torah? It's the world itself. Avraham Avinu sees Torah in the world.
Yeah, he observes creation.
He observes creation. That's an amazing concept. That's not spelled out in this Midrash, but I think it's implicit in the Midrash.
And he comes to an opposing conclusion from everybody around him.
But I'm asking David a whole different question. What I'm asking is, where is the source of Torah knowledge? Our Torah knowledge comes from Har Sinai. But there's apparently another source that's possible. There's another way of arriving at the Torah. Avraham Avinu didn't have the tradition of Moshe Rabbeinu and Har Sinai. So what did he have? He had the universe. Is there any statement in Chazal that you can think of? It's a very famous one, that's why I'm asking you, that seems to indicate that there's some sort of parallel mirror image between the Torah and its wisdom on the one hand and the universe on the other. Excellent, Chaim. I'm very proud. Istakel ba'oraisa ubara'al. The whole creation is a reflection, is a formulation of, is a materialization of a blueprint. What is the blueprint for the entire universe? The Torah. So then there are two ways of coming to know the Torah. One is to study the blueprint itself. That's what we do. There's another way, to see the universe, which is a mirror image of the Torah. But there's only one problem. And that's what I think the Midrash is touching. If you get the Torah itself, then it's pure, it's unadulterated. If you get the blueprint, you got it in its perfect, pristine form. If, on the other hand, you derive Torah concepts from the universe is unfortunately polluted.
You need a filter.
You need a filter. Exactly. Beautiful. It's got to be a siphoning process because the world is contaminated. The Mabul tried to purify the world, but it didn't succeed totally. Yetzer Lev Adam Ra. So we're looking at a universe with its contamination. Avraham Avinu lived at a time where idol worship was widespread. It was the accepted tradition of the day. It was impossible for Avraham Avinu on his own to penetrate through all that junk, all that dross that had accumulated in the universe and discover the pure truth. Therefore, Avraham Avinu needed kidneys in the mashal. In the nimshal, he needed some sort of source coming from the divine revelation that would somehow distill or cut away all the impurities and allow Avraham Avinu to distill the truth, the pure truth, from the universe. So again, let me just, I'm going to answer your question in just a second. I just want to summarize what I'm saying. I'm suggesting that there are two parts to this process of Avraham Avinu discovering truth. The first part is to discover Almighty God. That there's one God, there's one power, and we should serve Him. That, says the Rambam, lo hayalo, lo rav, lo modio, there was no one to teach him. It was Avraham Avinu on his own. But then there's another process. Okay, there's one God. How do I worship God? What are the rules? What are the precepts? What are the regulations? That's Torah. Avraham Avinu once again had no teacher. So he looked out at the universe. Bara, Istakel Boraisa Bara Alma. In Avraham Avinu's case, it was the opposite. Istakel Bi Alma Ubara Torah. And Avraham Avinu on his own came to the Torah. But there was a problem. He couldn't distill the absolute truth. There were too many impurities. For that, I think Rav Shimon in the Midrash says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu zimein lo shtei kilyosov. Are these kilyos external to Avraham Avinu, or are they internal? What's your impression? Again, in the Midrash, leave out Shem V'Ever, that's a different Midrash. But in this Midrash, what does he say? Shtei kilyosov kimin shnei rabbanim. What is the chaf hadimyon of kimin shnei rabbanim? Were they actually teachers? Were they individuals who were external to Avraham Avinu? I don't know. I don't get that impression. The kilyos are internal. The symbolism of the kidneys are the fact that Avraham Avinu somehow within himself was able to generate a system of purification to get rid of all the dross. Go ahead, floor's yours.
No, I guess you pretty much figured it out for me. But I was just kind of, I guess you keep saying Torah. I guess Torah as we know it. In other words, if you would look at the world, he would understand like Torah as we know it, like I don't know, Basa B'Chalav, that sort of thing. He can see that and understand it just by no text, no nothing, just.
Very difficult. You're right. I don't know how to answer your question, but Bara Alma, Istakel Boraisa Bara Alma. There's a parsha Basa B'Chalav, and there's a parsha of Tashlumei Schar Sakir, and there's a parsha of Hashav Saveda, and there's a parsha of Sorah Mishtaleh on Yom Kippurim. There are many parshas. How did those parshios form a blueprint for the entire universe? And for that you have to be a great Kabbalist and understand the mystical parts of the Torah.
Maybe two Playos were Yitzchak and Esau.
Say it again, Yitzchak and Esau?
Sorry, not Yitzchak and Ishmael.
I don't know.
Two
what time is it, my friends? Is it 9:15 already?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So Chaim, let me just take a minute to summarize what we've been saying. We're studying the parsha of Emunas Avram. We're raising the question, how did Avram come to the true faith? How did he come to believe in God? Was it on his own? Was it independent? Was it philosophical? We're asking a question about how Avram had an impact on his generation. Did he have arguments? Did he have philosophical debates with them? We begin with the Rambam. The Rambam indicates that Avram Avinu was a youth. He was already asking questions. He lived in a society he was totally surrounded by idol worshippers, including his parents. He himself was involved. But libo mishotet. He knew that this wasn't the answer. He couldn't accept that all the things in the universe were anything but effects in a cause and effect relationship. And therefore he was looking for the ultimate cause. He was looking for one power that could generate and produce the entire universe. When he came to that belief, the Rambam says he was 40 years old. And once having arrived at that belief, Avram Avinu said, this is the one God. He's the power behind everything. He's the manhig. He has to be worshipped. To him we have to pray. To him we have to bow. And idol worship is all false. And then says the Rambam, Avram Avinu engaged the people of his generation in debates. He fought against them. He battled against them. He became a public figure. At some point or another, he was in a very precarious situation. His life was in jeopardy. God did a miracle. He escaped from Ur Kasdim. He went to Haran. There too he professed his belief in one God. But the Rambam emphasizes that the entire process of Avraham Avinu coming to believe in one cause of all causes, in one God, which is a process that started in his youth, that terminated when he was 40. Ein lo, says the Rambam, ein lo malamed, lo haylo malamed v'lo modia. There was no one to teach him. We raised the question, what's the source for this Rambam? The two sources which the Avodas HaMelech quotes, a Midrash in Lech Lecha and a Midrash in Chaisar, both seem to indicate, against the Rambam, that Avraham Avinu was not working on his own, independent of revelation. In the case of the Midrash in Lech Lecha, the mashal of the bira, hitzitz olav bala bira. Avraham Avinu was searching, he was inquiring, he was investigating, but at the end of the day, hitzitz olav bala bira. Kadosh Baruch Hu peeks out from behind the bira and reveals himself. This doesn't seem to be a source for the Rambam. On the contrary, it seems to be problematic. The Rambam says, Ein lo modia. And here it's hitzitz olav bala bira. So based on an analysis of this Midrash, we try to reconcile the Rambam with this Midrash. The Midrash is asking a different question. If there's one God, if he's in control, if he's the manhig, how is it that evil reigns supreme with a free hand? The bira is burning. Paris is burning. And the answer is that for that, Avraham Avinu needed a divine revelation. He needed that support to maintain his thesis that not only is God the creator and the cause of all causes, but he's the manhig. He's involved, as we say in the Animamids, he's involved in this world, this divine providence. He's not up there in the seventh zvul, completely detached from human happenings, human history. It's all about Balabira, and God says to him, you know, Avraham, without you being able to, you're a human being, you're limited, you're finite, you can't figure out my tzuras hanhaga. We looked at a second possibility, the Midrash in Chaisara. That seems to be a source for the Rambam because the Midrash starts with Reb Shimon's statement, Lo limdo, lo rav, lo haylo, Lo avlo limdo, ravlo haylo. But then the Midrash continues and says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu zimein lo shtei kilyosov kimin shnei rabbanim. That God organized his kidneys as if they were two rabbanim. That seems to clearly indicate that there was a divine revelation to Avraham Avinu. He couldn't have come to it on his own, against the Rambam. But once again, to reconcile the Midrash with the Rambam, we suggested that perhaps there's no contradiction. The Midrash is dealing with Torah. The Rambam is dealing with belief in God, the basic emunah, the faith in one God. Torah was a long process. Once Avraham Avinu, bless you, came to believe in one God on his own, how would he understand Torah? How would he perceive Torah concepts? Chazal claim that Avraham Avinu observed the entire Torah before it was given. How did that happen? And that's where the Midrash comes up with Zimein lo HaKadosh Baruch Hu shtei kilyosov kishnei rabbanim. Whether or not the Midrash means, Rav Shimon means to say that there was an external divine teaching, a voice from heaven that gave him a revelation of the Torah, or more likely, the kilyosov represents some inner process that starts from the very being of Avraham, from his very essence. That's how Avraham is able to discern the truth from falsehood in the process of understanding the Torah and its wisdom. The klayos are there to purify and to refine. But perhaps there's another Midrash. This time the Avodas HaMelech doesn't help us, but Rabbeinu Bechai helps us. And this is on page 2. Rabbeinu Bechai had access to Midrashim that we do not have. And he quotes a Midrash that describes the entire process of Avraham Avinu's attainment of faith. According to the Midrash of Rabbeinu Bechai, here Avram Beliba. Again, I'm not going to go through the entire Midrash with you. I'm just going to focus on a few parts of the Midrash, the highlights, what I consider the highlights of this Midrash. And the Midrash says, here Avram Beliba. Do you find it? It's about 10 lines down, no less. Maybe 8, 9 lines down. The first word in the line is Shalosh Shanim. Here Avram Belibo mi bara shamayim va'aretz v'osi, who created the heavens and the earth and myself. It sounds like Avraham Avinu is arriving at his faith through some intellectual comprehension or conception without any help from the outside. However, according to this Midrash, Avraham Avinu is seeking the Creator. Mi bara shamayim v'aretz v'osi. So first Avraham looks at the sun. The sun is a very powerful force on earth. And many idol worshippers believed in the power of the sun. Hispalel kol hayom kulo l'shemesh. You remember that the Rambam had said, "V'hu oved imayim," that Avraham Avinu was also worshipping idols. In this case, he was worshipping the sun. But kol hayom kulo, that's during the daylight hours. Ula erev, what happens at night? Shaka chama b'mayra. The sun sets in the west. V'zarcha levana b'mizrach. No, so Avraham Avinu figures the sun is out of the picture now. Now he identifies the moon as the power of creation. And the stars, Sarav Avodah, they are the officers and the servants of the god, in this case the moon. So Omad Kol Alayla B'Tfilo L'Yareach. Now he does his night shift, and he's worshiping the moon. L'Boker, when the sun arises, Shaka Yareach. The stars disappear, the moon disappears. V'Zarch HaShemesh B'Mizrach. He's confused. He's perplexed. Omar declares, Ein viad elu koach. Neither of these, neither the sun, the moon, the stars, have any power. But rather, Adon yesh aleim. There must be a master above them, who's greater than them. Elov espalo, I will pray to him. V'elov eshtachave, and I will bow to him. Once again, Avraham is working on his own. Here, Avraham Beliba. He's asking the questions and he's arriving at the conclusions. But there's a slight difference. Because whereas the Rambam is talking about the manhig, who is organizing the earth, who's controlling it, the Midrash quoted here by Rabbi Mordechai is asking a different question. Avraham Avinu is looking, he's seeking to find the Creator. According to the Rambam, and here I want to get back to your question, Chaim, what are the prepositions, what are the premises that Avraham Avinu is working with? And I believe we can identify, according to the Rambam, 3 different premises. Number 1, the logical rule of cause and effect. Every effect has to be preceded by a cause. Number 2, the stars and the spheres are moving. There must be one power, one great power, that's unique, that's individual, that is responsible for the movement of all these spheres. This power has to exist separate from the universe itself. And the third premise, the third preposition of Avraham Avinu, is that let's identify this great power, the cause of all causes, as God himself. He is the creator, he is the mind, he controls the universe, he's the cause of all causes. So if you look at the Rambam carefully, the concept of God as creator is at the end of the process. That's the finale, that's the last point. According to the Midrash of Rabbi Mordechai, on the other hand, Avram discovers a concept, a religious concept, based on 4 premises. The first of which, there's a creator who's responsible for the production, the existence of everything in the world. Number 2, this creator is one. Just as there's unity in the universe forms one sort of whole, so too there's unity in the creator. There's no plurality. Number 3, the creator is responsible for everything and is infinite. He's omnipotent. There's no limit to his power or his control. Therefore, it's impossible that the sun would be God, because God, by definition, is infinite. And the sun goes down at night. Can't be the moon that disappears in the morning. So since there are certain periods of time in which neither the sun nor the moon have any control, they cannot, neither one of them can serve as the controller of the universe. And this leads Avram to his 4th premise, his 4th preposition, that there's one God, one power, who's separate from the universe, he's unified, he's unique, and it is appropriate to serve him through prayer and bowing, and no other being on earth. So in a sense, this Midrash of Rabbi Mordechai, although it may be to some extent the source for the Rambam, because the Midrash is assuming that Avraham Avinu comes to belief in God on his own, nevertheless, in the Midrash, as opposed to the Rambam, Avraham Avinu's search begins with a search for the Creator. Everything revolves around the Creator. In any event, the question is, at what point in his life did Avram come to this emunah? And maybe with this we'll conclude our discussion. The Gemara Nidarim, which is on the bottom of your page 2, Amar Rav Ami bar Abba ben Shalosh Shanim Hikir Avram is Boro. And Rabbi Ami counts this conclusion based on a calculation, based on what we call a gematria. Ekev asher shama Avram bekolu. The Torah says that Avraham is chosen by God because of Akev. Akev is 172. How old was Avraham when he perished, when he died? 174. So for 172 years, Avraham listened to the voice of God. He observed the divine belief. If he died at the age of 175, and for 173 years, out of those 175, he observed God's will, then he must have been 3 when he believed in God. The Rambam seems to indicate that he was 40 when he believed in God. So if you take a look on page 1, Thagos Maimonios, in Os Aleph, says, Hine nuchal lekayim gam divrei Reish Lakish the Omer ben Shalosh Shanim Hoyim. Even though the Rambam says that he was 40 when he came to believe in God, we can still nevertheless accept the opinion that he was only 3 when he came to believe in God. And how is that so? So if you take a look in Os Beis, the Agos Maimonios comes to reconcile within the frame of reference of the Rambam both opinions. One opinion that Avraham Avinu was 3, and there's a second opinion which is quoted in the Midrash Rabbah in Parshas Noach. Take a look at the bottom of page 2. Rabbi Levi b'shem Reish Lakish ben Shalosh Shonim Hikir Avraham Esboro. Rabbi Chanina, Rabbi Yochanan Shavai Diamrin ben Arboim Shonim. He was 40, or maybe 48 according to one Girs. Says that goes Maimonides in Os Beis that although the Rambam starts with Reish Lakish, namely he was 3, he concludes with the sheet of Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Chanina that he was 40 or 48. How so? How can it be that we can reconcile both? Says that goes Maimonides. He began the process when he was 3. Already at the tender age of 3, Avraham Avinu is questioning. If you take a look at the Ravid, in Asogas HaRavid, again on page 1, this is in the small print, at the end of that paragraph, 3 lines above, Omar Avraham, the Ravid says, Yesh Agoda, according to one day in the Agoda ben Shalosh on it. So how is that possible? Then the Ravid's going to ask our other question about Shem V'Yever. What were they busy doing all this time? So if you take a look at the Kesef Mishnah, which is also on page 1, he quotes the Ravid, and he says, Efshar l'kayim zeh v'zeh. We can reconcile both opinions as to whether Avraham was 3 or he was 40 or 48. The Ben Shol Shonim Oyek Shehischil, when he began the process, Lachshov, L'shotet v'machshavta, L'hakir es Bora, he questioned the idol worshippers. He thought that they were off base. He began searching and investigating and questioning. However, at what point did he come to a complete realization? At what point was he absolutely convinced? But until the age of 40, he was still unsure. He developed, over the course of 37 years, a logical structure, premises, and conclusions, until finally, at the age of 40, he arrived at a complete clarification, an absolute acceptance, a Kabbalah Pnimit, an inner acceptance of the faith in God. Therefore, I would say that the Rambam accomplishes 2 goals. Number 1, in answering the question at what age Avraham Avinu came to faith in God, he reconciles the 2 opinions in the Midrash that both write Elu V'Elu Divrei Elokim Chaim. And number 2, the Rambam has set the stage for Avraham Avinu to reach out to others, to now at the age of 40 begin this process of debating, of destroying the idols, of arguing against the idol worshippers. How could you believe that this piece of wood that's definitely an effect is a cause? It can't be a cause. It doesn't have any control. It doesn't have ears to listen or eyes to see. And the whole story, which is indicated in the Midrash, which I quoted for you here on the bottom of page 2, and Rashi quotes it at the end of Parshas Noach that Avraham Avinu destroyed the idols. But we're going to see in many different midrashim, he didn't just destroy the idols, but he engaged the idol worshippers in debates, philosophical disputations, as the Rambam said in Hilchas Akum, that he began to engage the people in debates. V'yada v'histil kevan shehikir, which I would interpret now in the light of the Kesef Mishnah. Now that Avraham at the age of 40 came to a full realization, absolute knowledge of the truth, then histil, he began his project, his what shall I call it? His
Ministry.
Right, his ministry, we call it Project Inspire, we'll call it. Histil lahashiv tshuvos al b'nei ur kazdim v'larach din imahem, to prove to them that they didn't have the true path. Okay, I'll stop now.